You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name is Andrew Mikael Smith. The interview subject that I have coming up for you, the artist prepared for your listening pleasure, is Mikael Svanberg, aka Lord Ahriman. I think that's how you pronounce his pseudonym. He's the guitarist in long-running Swedish black metal outfit Dark Funeral. There you go. They've got 3 dates in Australia. I believe it's only the 3 dates that are coming up in September 2019, the first of which is happening in Brisbane. That's great because I'm going to do my best to be at that show, and they're playing alongside of the very excellent Immolation. Thursday the 5th of September is the date of that show. The next show is in Sydney on Friday the 6th of September at Crowbar. And the final show, well, that one's in Melbourne on Saturday the 7th. Of course, that also features Immolation as well. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can see, really. I don't have a comprehensive gig guide here with me, but they're the 3 dates that I can see from my Googling, my comprehensive Googling. There you go. So here he is. We have a conversation about some far-reaching subjects here, including his fight for other artists within the music industry. He's a good bloke, actually, and he's an excellent guitarist, an underrated guitarist, says Michael. So here he is, Lord Ahriman, from the Swedish outfit, Dark Funeral. Things.
Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good. How are we treating you? How are the Australian journotypes been treating you on this particular press junket you're doing?
Oh yeah, everybody have been really excited about our coming back to Australia, so it's all good.
Yeah, I remember back in the day reading about you guys in Metal Maniacs magazine in the 90s. This is back when black metal was scary and it wasn't mainstream. And you were one of the most ferocious bands that I think anybody could poke a stick at. You guys and Marduk were. And it's so great to see that all these years later you're still going and that you've got a fan base and that you're coming to Australia. You know, and especially that you're coming to Australia with Immolation, man. It's a hell of a double bill.
Oh yeah, I mean it's really good to be able to team up with them. And this is kind of bills I personally, prefers to do so. So it's good.
Sweet. Well, you've got 6 albums from which to mine material. So what sort of show are you going to bring to Australia? Is it a bit of a greatest hit set, or are there songs that work better in Australia from your experience than other territories, and will you be playing them?
No, we never think about that in those terms. What's going best. I mean, we always try to, for now, obviously, focusing on the last record, but we always, bring in songs from all the records. Trying to get a good mix. To give everybody their dose of Dark Funeral. Now we are adding a couple of songs from the recent festival shows.
Cool.
And the response to the set list we've been doing lately it's been almost like you said, the best of kind of set list. I don't know, but some people have said it's been the best set list so far. They heard from us, so now we're adding a couple of songs that we haven't played in a while. So, so I think we have a good set list for Australia.
Cool, and you've no doubt heard from a lot of fans over the years, but are we a strong territory for you guys? Like, do you hear a lot from Australian fans?
Yeah, it seems like we have a good following from there. I don't know. I mean, for the moment, it feels like we have a really, really good feedback from the US. I don't know why, but it's I receive shitloads of mails and stuff from the US.
Yeah.
But Australia, I mean, we've been there. Is it 2 or 3 times?
Yeah.
And I only have good memories, from the crowd. And every time I talk to someone from Australia, I get a really good, feedback on the band. So
cool. Yeah.
And I know all of us are extremely looking forward to this tour. So
it's going to be fantastic. Yeah. The other thing too that I noticed, I was listening to an interview that you did with an American journalist about 2 months ago or so, June or July, and she or whoever produced the video put some copy of you guys playing live in the background, and the sound was actually, it wasn't from one of those shitty Zoom handheld things, it was from the desk. Holy shit, you sounded unbelievable. Especially your guitar playing. I could actually hear the nuances in your guitar playing more than I can from the studio recording. So you're actually, something that I don't think people realise is you're actually a very good live guitarist as well. Is that something that you've been focusing on recently, or is Dark Funeral, as far as you're concerned, has that always been the arena for you guys to thrive, a bit like Cannibal Corpse is in the live arena?
Well, I always consider Dark Funeral a live band, but I never consider myself as a good guitar player. That's I don't know. I always struggle and try
You're
to
modest.
improve myself.
Yeah.
I'm very self-critical in that way, but I do know that. I mean, for me, it's always been important that when I write a song and when we record it in the studio, we must be able to do it as good as in the studio live on stage too. So we're not trying to to mix it too much while we're in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And we practice a lot, so I know that what we bring in on record, we can also do live on stage. So
yeah,
so I have confidence in that part, but still fighting to better myself as a guitar player, but I like to be on that edge when I write songs and riffs and play stuff that I barely can do. Then I feel like I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
It's got to be always. I like to have that kind of struggle all the time, I guess. That's just what I enjoy, myself.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, well, you're mastering your craft.
I don't like it when it's too easy. I don't like it when it's too easy. It's just got to be a little bit of fight, and then I get onto it.
One of the things that's always really annoyed me about the guitar media, Guitar World and all of those sort of magazines and online publications, is they've never given guitarists like you, and I know you're very modest about it, but I'm going to heap the praise on you here. They've never given guitarists like yourself or Ishan or Samoth your due insofar as your technical proficiency, and talked about how bloody difficult it is to play black metal at the speed you guys are playing it, and the tremolo picking techniques that you've got to do beat after beat, measure after measure for an entire show. They just seem to sort of gloss over it as extreme music and, oh yeah, that's them. But my own feelings about it all are that there are so many virtuosos in black metal, particularly emerging bands that are coming out of your part of the world. Of course, Scandinavia is the epicenter for it, Australia, South America, and of course the United States. But it's never something, and it's something that I've always tried to do, is put a spotlight on it. And it's really interesting to hear that you're very humble about your own playing, because you often find that the best players are very humble about what they do. It's not this braggadocio thing like what Yngwie's got. I know he's a fellow Swede, but, he's been a part of his shtick for many years.
He can brave what he do, because he can play guitar. That's for sure.
I know. I guess I just feel like, and that's my question for you, is do you think black metal guitarists have been given their due through the years when there are so many wonderful examples such as yourself?
Well, in all honesty, I was, asked to do an interview with Guitar Magazine a couple of years ago. They wanted to meet me in New York, but I had to turn it down because my schedule, I just couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I really don't know what to say, about my guitar playing, because I have no idea really what I'm doing. I know no music theory whatsoever. So most of the time I kind of turn down those interviews and reports because I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I understand, but I think if ever you're given the opportunity again, a fan like me would love to hear what you've got to say. Because isn't it interesting that you've achieved a level of technical proficiency that one would assume you have to be schooled to achieve, but you haven't. You've done this all off your own back, and that to me is far more inspiring than somebody who comes from a moneyed background and can pay somebody extraordinary sums of money, like a conservatorium, for example, to teach them how to do things when you've had to do it all yourself. And I think that's quite inspiring, mate.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, when I picked up the guitar, I never looked at what other bands or guitarists are doing or anything.
Mm.
I had no one to teach me how to play. I had to figure it out myself, and I guess that way, I know I worked with some producer a couple of times, and I heard it also a couple of times that some of the stuff that I'm doing is really not theoretically correct. So what?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
If the riff and feeling in the riff is the feeling I'm looking for, then it can't be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If it's theoretically correct or not, it doesn't matter. So apparently I'm doing some stuff that shouldn't be, possible to do really. If you follow the theoretical laws of tones and stuff like that, but but who cares? I do it my way, and I do it the way I want to have it. So.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, you've had to do it against a backdrop of a lot of what's the best word for it? Well, you've had to deal with bloody arsehole record labels. I've been reading about your battle there with No Fashion, but a lot of bands would have packed it in, but you clearly got the music in you and you want to bring it to the people. So how are things these days? I'm not asking about the finances of the band, by the way, but other business arrangements, you must have learnt a lot through that. You could probably write a book about your experiences with No Fashion. Would that be the case?
Yeah, well, I learned a lot, and I also left some good things for the future of the music industry, actually, which not many people know about.
Okay.
One of the things that I was fighting for was the publishing arrangement for artists at that time, which was complete bullshit, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
So while my case and all the court things were done, they started European Music Organization for Songwriters started negotiating a new standard contract, publishing contract, because the first one that we were kind of, which we didn't really sign, but we were kind of forced into this publishing deal without, it was just a clause in a contract that said that if you sign this contract, you're obligated to also sign this publishing deal. But I mean, I can't sign and be binded to a contract that I've never even seen. So to make things really short, but that was one of the main thing I was fighting for. I didn't want to, be stuck in a contract that I've never even fucking read. And also a contract that wasn't really meant for music writing. It was meant for notes and not actual music.
Okay.
So what happened after when we were done in court was this European Music Organization started to on one side and the publishing business on one side started to negotiate a new standard publishing contract, and much of the stuff that I was writing for or fighting for were included in the new standard contract the way I wanted it to be. So I
awesome,
made a kind of big mark, and it was all just to protect artists' rights, basically. But of course the lawyers and they took care of the more stuff. But the case I was fighting really had an impact on the new standard contract.
Well, good on you, mate. Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, this is the thing that people who don't pay attention to what's happening in all sectors of the music industry may deny. I mean, the fact is you're playing in a brutally uncompromising band, but you're not dumb. And I say, when I'm saying that is that there's a perception that musicians and fans, and I'm one of these people, are fans, that we're not the sharpest tools in the sheds. Well, fuck you, okay? I'm talking to a bloke who managed to get case law changed in Europe, courtesy of your resistance to a fuckwit record label. I mean, this is what I think. These are the stories that I think people need to hear coming from our segment of music here, because it isn't just about the music. You're fighting for a way of life, and to your point, mate. You go. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, well, the financial side is one thing, but the music that I write is just, I don't want to have my fucking music be violated by some fucking.
Oh yeah, there's that too, of course.
Record company. I mean, that was the main thing, and also I don't want to be stuck in a contract that I've never read. So there was lots of things in this case. It was kind of a big case, and it took a couple of years to fight it. But I think as I said, I think I won both for me and for the rest of the scene.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Yep, flying that flag high.
Yeah, but you can't just let only because some of these companies have shitloads of money, they think they can act and treat artists exactly the way they want. But I wish more bands should really, fight for their rights, basically. I mean, it shouldn't be too fucking easy to do the business side of things in an honest way. I'm always going to be honest when I do business, but I'm not naive or stupid, so I can really see quite easy and read people's, if they try to fuck me and the band over, I see it quite immediately, and then I either I just tell them to stay the fuck away, or I confront them and say, okay, let's start from the beginning and do it the right way, or we just skip it.
Good on you, mate. Fans of the band are going to be very happy to hear that. That because it means that you've got you're forward thinking. You got your business affairs in order, which is going to allow you to keep on producing the wonderful music you do.
Yeah, well, normally I just prefer to have things simple and easy, but sometimes other parts just make things more difficult than it has to be. It doesn't have to be so fucking difficult.
No, that is. Let me tell you, mate.
If you ask me, but there's quite a few bands who used to call me about legal advices and stuff. So
cool.
So I guess I'm not completely out in the blue.
No, of course not. And yeah, I can imagine why they would. I mean, there's whole chapters of books, autobiographies, and biographies dedicated to artists and bands getting screwed over by labels. Who was I reading about yesterday? An Australian band, Def FX. Okay, I know you probably haven't heard of them, but Fiona Horn, wonderful front woman. She's overflying planes in the Caribbean these days, but I think she mentioned that at they had a few peaks in the band's cycle, but they're getting paid. She was getting paid $50 a night to perform, and these were packed out venues. It's fucking wrong, but it's just the way the business is set up to assume that the artists are there as pack horses and workhorses, and all these so-called hangers-on and people who aren't actually adding value to the fans' experience just clean up and take the money, and it's wrong, and it's bullshit. It's just been the way the record industry's been set up ever since the bloody Monkees came out to emulate the Beatles and the Beach Boys.
Yeah, most of the time it's too many middle hands in between every business deal. In the 80s and the early 90s, it was more direct business. Now it's too many middle hands and everybody got to have a piece of their pie. So that really fucks the artist in the end. And I wish things would go back to where it were. Maybe it was not the best arrangement, but still you could skip all those middle hands that isn't really needed,
No, agreed. Yeah.
But bands really need to pay more attention to what kind of deal they sign into, and better make one question too many than one too less,
Mm-hmm.
And of course, sometimes it's hard to know if for example, of a gig, it's hard to know if you're really going to sell much tickets or not for the show.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's, if you're a newer band or whatever, sometimes it's good to do like a percentage deal. You have a certain fixed fee, but you have, in case the show really sell out, you have a percentage of the
the door. People who come through. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, sometimes even we have those deals these days because, sometimes you just don't know. And last time we had that kind of deal, we actually made 3 times more money than if I had a fixed fee. So
there you go. So the money's going somewhere. Might as well go to you.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, things can go the other way around too. But I was glad because then I didn't. Before those shows, I was kind of worried for the budget. But when I saw the numbers, I was like, okay, now I'm going to be able to pay the bills. So that's a good thing. Because that's sometimes I'm kind of stressed.
I bet. Oh, it's a very stressful business, mate. Yeah. It is, yeah. All right, mate, I better let you get to the next one. I think Mark's going to call through in about a minute or so. But thanks heaps for the conversation. Good luck with everything. Long may you continue to reign playing brutal black metal like you do, mate. But it's very hard for me to get out and watch shows just with kids, and I've got kids these days and all the other life commitments. But you're definitely a show that I want to get to, mate. So hopefully, mate, I can be in the crowd there throwing up the horns for you.
Please do. So see you there.
Thanks, mate. All the best of it.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name is Andrew Mikael Smith. That interview subject was Mikael Svanberg, aka Lord Ahriman from the Swedish black metal outfit Dark Funeral. Thanks so much for listening.